Lying Up Academy members, welcome back. Happy Thursday. Just got off the golf course myself. First time in 2.5 months of playing. And, well, let's just say it was very interesting to say the least. But, it got me thinking. I had a recommendation yesterday, I believe it was, about doing Robert Rock. Because with all the shaft lean videos that I've made over the couple of days, he suggested this. And I'm glad he did because I completely forgot about Robert Rock. I haven't heard Robert Rock's name in quite some time, probably over 15 years. And I know that he just retired, which is a shame because he was a journeyman, great golfer, great swing, very simple motion, very stack and tilt like. And we'll take a look at some positives and negatives to try and emulate this because he did suffer with his drive. And we'll talk about his numbers on TrackMan to show you why you shouldn't really do this motion with the driver. Obviously, he is a phenomenal golfer and he made a living doing it, so it works for him. But just because it works for him doesn't necessarily mean it's something you should try to do. So let's get right to it. We're going to start at the start of the swing here, and we're going to look at what we try to figure out. What is shaft lean? So shaft lean is obviously what it sounds like. You want the grip of the club to lean into the golf ball at impact. Now, there's ways to do this, and you can see Robert Rock is trying to get a little bit ahead of himself, and what we're going to do is connect his shoulder tilt down to his spine angle. Now, I know this isn't anatomically correct, but hopefully this makes sense to you. And what we're going to see is we have a little degree here, and we're going to draw in our degree tool, and we're going to look at basically what this number is, and that's about 46 degrees. Now let's go straight down to impact and see how he carries that. And I know the camera's not exactly still, but it will make do for now. And right when we go one more frame, right when he presses into the ground, let's take a look and try and get the best estimate of that. There we go. So it is at 145. So did he really increase his shaft lean? Not necessarily, but he increased the position of his hands more forward. And how this works is you have to make sure that your body moves left before you strike it, because if you enact such a severe forward press as you start the swing, you better get your center of your body further left of where it started to help you still strike down on the ground while you retain that angle, because if you don't, you will hit the big ball instead of the small ball, and the big ball is obviously earth. And the reason being is because we increase our tilt at impact. So let's draw this in red, and we can see how this tilting number will also increase, and that will increase his spine. So if you do not get your center of your chest more towards the target, meaning you've distributed your weight left of the target, you will definitely bottom out before the golf ball. You're essentially tilting your shoulders a little bit more to help you reach from the inside, and that helps you drop your hands in the slot. But unless you get that body moving forward, you're going to be in trouble. So let's take a look at his address position and talk about this motion forward. And we're going to draw a line right where the buttons are buttoned up, and you can see, whoa. So let's just talk about that center line. Let's do this in red so it's easy to see. We're going to draw right where that button of his shirt is, and we can see it's slightly ahead of the golf ball. Now, as we take that club back, we're going to see him stack on his left side. We're going to see a hip tilt the other way, and what that means is the left hip is actually tilting lower than the right hip, which will make his upper body lean towards the target. So hey, you had better move left. So that first move, we can see him get that whole body going left. He's leaning left. You can see now the center is shifted ahead of the golf ball because he has to, because now from here, he's going to tilt his shoulders more under, and the hip tilt is going to slide as well. So as he strikes the golf ball, let's look at where the new lines are. We're going to draw this in green, and obviously we have that increase of tilt. But if we see where the buttons are, they have moved ahead of the golf ball. But he did it because he was kind of tilting a lot, and we see the hip tilt is now this way and his upper body is falling behind. So we see it's more of moving around your head with your body to tilt instead of back and through like more rotational traditional players. But there's some positives and some negatives with this. So we're going to talk about the negatives. And he has always struggled with his numbers of his driver, because if you start getting too stack and tilty and you set up with a forward press, you definitely get your body going left, unless you are gifted enough to hold onto your angle, turn and tilt and fall back, because you need to hold that angle, fall back, so now you can swing up. So I have his numbers here from when he was on TrackMan, and this TrackMan data metrics was from 2012, and his club head speed was 109.3, ball speed was 156, so he had a smash factor of 1.43, which for the best in the world it's not that good. They're looking for even 1.5, 1.51, 5.2, and that really helps. Now you can take a look, and he was happy with this impact because the first positive angle of attack on TrackMan with the driver, much better than Wednesday's -5. So -5 means that he is swinging down 5 degrees, which will affect his smash factor. We'll look at his spin rate. His spin rate on that swing right here was 3,200, and that is an angle of attack issue. Now keep in mind that this one was a positive angle of attack, and he got 3,200. Now if you have a negative, that's going to balloon up to the high 3,000s, maybe even the low 4,000s, which will really affect your carry, your distance, your spin rate. You don't have high launch, low spin. You have higher launch, high spin, which is not a good combination. And with this good one, he carried it 250.9 yards, and that's a good one. So you can see that he did suffer in his career with the driver, with the angle of attack. So this one is a 3, what it looks like. I don't think it's a driver, but we can see that this one was pretty good. You can see there's less forward press on this one. So this one will actually be pretty decent. And we can see, let's draw a line where his center is. So the less forward press you have, the less you have to manipulate your centeredness. So as he comes down to the top of the swing, we see a beautiful one-piece takeaway, gets to the top. Look at that turn. It's just so picturesque. We don't see a lot of tilting back and forth, which is great. As he strikes the golf ball, we see a slight move left. We don't see an exaggerated hip tilt left like we saw on the iron, and we see that as a result, the upper body is not leaning towards the target as much, so there's less things to correct. As he strikes the golf ball, we can see that the hips, let's redraw the arrows, we can see the hips are not tilting the other way and the upper body's falling back, and the center really didn't move much. It's still fairly close to that golf ball. So this setup, you can see it's not as much forward press. So maybe, and this is from 2018, so maybe as he grew in his golf career, he kind of recognized to not forward press it as much. That first video was probably much older than that. It didn't get an exact year. And one more thing, let's go back to that iron. I want you to look at impact. I want you to see how steep he is as he strikes a golf ball. So here we go. Watch this impact. Boom, right? Look at the shaft. Shaft is going to break. And it's not necessarily the club is whipping. What's happening is his angle of attack. If you take a look with that forward press, his hands are going straight down, and this will dig the club into the ground, and we can see the club will bow and then come back. Look at that. Boom. So look at that. So look at the club motion. That's just a lot of angle. You don't need that much angle with the driver. With the irons, yes, you can get away with it. Long irons, it's going to be a challenge, but you can see this fluttering in the shaft is something that you probably don't want to occur, specifically for average golfers that play once every 2.5 months like myself. We don't need something like this. It is a little bit of a challenge. But lastly, I just want to show you his down the line, because his down the line is so beautiful. So we have this. Sorry, I didn't mean to put arrows, but you're getting arrows right now. So we can see the centeredness. And if you watched my video from Golf Tech yesterday, we talked about setup. Setup is everything. So we can see the arches of the heel support the hips. Goes right in between where the lower plane line and the spine angle meet. So that is a pretty balanced motion. Look at all this real estate that the hands can just go through. But take a look at this backswing. As he takes that club back, we can see how the club just rides up that lower plane line. Look at this right there. That is just so picture perfect. Now, obviously, this does not fall for everybody. I don't want you to go out there and try and get to this. This just happens for him because he's probably hit a million golf balls. But take a look at this. We can put a nice little circle around that. We can see the club face is almost identical to his spine angle. So this is truly rotating around his spine. We know that he is getting his way on the left side. So we see right here, look at that left knee bending a lot more, and that's going to lower the hip. So the left hip's going to lower down. That's going to get his spine to tilt the other way. And now we can just lean left to make sure his centeredness is left of the golf ball. And here comes that lean. So you see that move left. We can see him getting a little further away from the camera. He's leaning left, and he's now turning around the spine as he strikes the golf ball. Look at all that real estate that he has, so he doesn't have to worry about it. And then right here we see that increase of shoulder tilt and just a beautiful follow through. Look at that, right in between the two perfect runways. So what do you think about this? Does this make sense to you? Hopefully it does, because I want to shy you away from getting the forward press to start the golf swing. You're an average golfer. We're all average golfers. We're not television golfers. The better golfers can maybe get away with it, and I'm talking about collegiate golfers to professional golfers. I would much rather you guys and girls just focus on getting your hands connected to the center of your chest and almost do a back press and give that a try, see if it helps you. But let me know in the comments below, and I'm sorry about the lights behind me. It is a little bit spotlighty today, but I thought I'd just throw this out there and get ready for Halloween. Hope that helps you. Fairways and greens.